Hello my sweet friends and welcome back to my channel. Happy Wednesday to everyone. I hope you're having a great week so far. We are working on project number 5 today of our March challenge. We're using the Park Lane Woodland collection, and this project was inspired by friend Jill, who suggested in my St. Patrick's Day banner video that it would be fun to put a banner section on a card front. Now, we have done that in the past, but it was just a nice reminder of a project that I enjoy creating. So we're going to take our inspiration from that, and everyone say thanks Jill in the comments, and we're going to create a similar card but with our more nature inspired woodland collection. So stick with me and we will make this together. So like I mentioned, we're going to continue to use this Park Lane Woodland paper pad. This is going to be the first time I've cut into one of the pieces to get the focal image out, and so this was just a beautiful butterfly with a lot of foiling detail. It did hurt a little cutting into that paper just to get this image out because I want to make sure that we have enough paper left for the rest of our projects, but I think it was very important for this because this is a very large statement on the front of my card, and so I decided that it was worth it. I'm also going to pair it with one of the sentiment strips, but you'll see that in a bit. So we do have quite a bit of this paper pad left, and I'm optimistic that we will get through our challenge very easily with what we have remaining. And that wanted to just show you very quickly the sleeve of scraps that I have. This is growing, but I think that we have a lot of nice large pieces to work with, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then this didn't fit in there, but it is going to be background for our projects today, so I did cut into this piece as well. We're still going to be using the Hero Art Plum cardstock. I just think this is so perfectly coordinated and such a nice heavy quality. It's really nice to work with. I wish it were in the 12 by 12 size, but that's okay. I just really enjoy having it for this challenge. So we're gonna be working on a regular standard size card base. It's 5 by 6.5, and I'm also going to be working with a nested die of a banner shape that has a stitched edge on it, and so I picked this up from Gina Marie Designs. I wouldn't say it is crucial to have this for this project, but I will say I use this often enough that I find it's definitely worth investing in. It's a very good staple supply in my stash, and I go to it very often, so I would recommend checking that out. If you can't find it there, just do a little search and see where you can get the best value. But I really like this set because it fits on my cards very nicely. And so I did already finish the inside of my card with that pretty paper and the plum cardstock, so I'll just go ahead and begin to put my layers on. So this is going to be a cardstock size of 4 7/8 by 6 3/8, and the pattern paper is 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. So that's just a basic standard size. I'm going to pull it just a bit closer so I can see over top of it to get it centered well. If you can hear that sound in the background, that is the furnace running. I'm not sure how much that comes across on camera, but it is necessary so that we don't freeze to death. So we're just going to work around it. So I decided to use 3 sizes of my nested banner shaped die, and I've also utilized more of those pieces from the sleeve of offcuts. So all of the top layers here came from that sleeve, and I didn't have to get into additional papers for the layering. I did decide to cut a scallop from the center of this piece just because I wanted to make sure not to be wasteful and get into another sheet for that layer. I put it up on spacers so that we can build dimension, and I'm going to offset this a little bit to the right and a little bit higher than middle because we do have a generous size flower arrangement to add. So now I think it is important to come back in with another strip of foam tape just to support that cutout section, because remember, we're building a lot of layers, so I want that to hold up the middle part as well. And so this will be a good base for the next layer. I didn't put any dimensional elements behind this particular one. It's just going on with my double-sided adhesive tape, but I did alternate the brightness of the paper. So this is just a little bit lighter than the previous layer so that it definitely shows up as a design element. And that wood grain looks so pretty with the very petite flower with the foiled center. And so my next layer is actually from that cut apart sheet. I'm still working on the same one. And this was just a piece that had lines going across. I guess you would put your journaling on here. And I cut it with the smallest of the dies that I used today. Not the smallest one in the set, but it was perfect to get that stitch detail along with keeping the flowers on the card. It just worked out that way. And so this is an added layer of pattern, and I'm not going to cover up too much of that pretty foiling because the card at the bottom is cut out in the same shape. So now we have some beautiful layering effects, and I'm going to bring in a doily. And just like in the previous video, I decided to cut the doily from that plum paper, and I think it really helps to pop that butterfly off the background. And so I'm just going to add that with just a little hot glue because there wasn't a lot of room back there for my double-sided tape. Okay, so here is a design decision that I made, that the butterfly would be a little bit lost on some of those extra cutout details. So before I add that, I'm going to include that cutout from our first banner shape, and it has a spacer underneath it so we can continue to add that detail and dimension. This particular circular die with the scallop edge has another stitch detail, so that looks really nice. And now you can see our butterfly just looks a little bit nicer on top of that. It neutralizes a little bit of the detail from that doily die. I'm not popping my butterfly up on a spacer because I didn't really want to fuss with getting them cut small enough to go behind the little butterfly body. And so I decided that this layer would be flat, but I could pop up the sentiment. And so I don't know if you can even see that at all. It says collect beautiful moments, and I thought, well, that would be pretty good for a greeting card that was all occasion, could be birthday or wedding or what have you. And I did cut that out with a die that had a stitch edge and a little notch in it, just so that it would be a little bit more interesting. I'm going to lay that in right between those wings, but look, I'm offsetting it toward the right because remember, we do have a pretty good size flower arrangement coming in. So I've got that here, and I'm combining a Made by Me flower finished with some stamens from Really Reasonable Ribbon with two that are from Little Birdie Crafts. They both have the gold finish of the detail, so that makes them coordinate really nicely. These are the leaves that originally came with the Little Birdie Craft flowers. I just pulled them off and kind of reoriented them so that they would show up a little better. And then I also included some die cut foliage that is absolutely beautiful and sparkly and adds a little bit more glam to our card with a little bit of netting and a loopy twine bow. So this bow on the back is created with a diamond satin from Really Reasonable Ribbon. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to definitely link that in the description below. That came That coordinated so well with my papers that I really just loved adding it to this card. So I'm gonna just add that with a little bit of hot glue. And I'm just making sure to cover our cut edge of our sentiment strip. And I'm not going over the edge there to leave any of these flowery bits fragile. So our last few details, of course, you know I'm going to add some little charms because I like shiny things. And I'm just adding that with hot glue. And I'm finishing off the top with a vintage button because I don't want to see the cut strings in my finished card. I think we can include a couple of pretty sequins to bring a little bit more detail to the bottom of our card. And I will adhere these with my Tombow. Okay, so that is all for project number 5 of our March challenge to use the Park Lane Woodland paper pad. We have 4 projects left. I hope you plan to join me for those as well. You can find links for all our social media sites in the description below. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to join my crafty little family. Just hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell notification as well so you'll be alerted every time we add new content. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.